everybody. Welcome into it. This is The Porch, a Volquest baseball podcast. We got former Tennessee first baseman Luc Lipcius that's going to join us today and every Thursday for The Porch. Please like and subscribe to the Volquest YouTube channel, and let's share this video, get it out in front of more Tennessee baseball fans, and you can always check it out at Volquest.com. Hey, Tennessee looked good so far in the early season. Yeah, I know it was a 1-2 record out in Arizona. You want to have more wins if you're going that far, but overall I think a lot of positives came from playing out west. Then you came back and you took care of some midweek action against Alabama A&M. So I'm going to talk here for the first 10, 13 minutes or so. Then we're going to welcome on Luc Lipcius, and we go for about 20 minutes, and that's going to be your show here today. The weekend schedule, it's against the Dayton Flyers, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, first pitch on Friday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Saturday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on Sunday. And of course, you can always follow along with that action, Volquest.com, the General's Quarters. And if you're not tuning in to the live baseball coverage, I encourage you to do so if you like. On the front page, I have the live updates tab. Of course, I've got the game thread link in there, but I update as the scoring happens throughout. And at the end of the game, that story turns into a how did it happen, where I get the final stats about the pitchers, the scoring summaries, post-game video, all that type of stuff. And then, of course, we got your quick takes at the end of the game as well. So follow along with baseball coverage over at Volquest.com each and every game. All right, so Tennessee, Friday night in Arizona, falls 3-1 to Arizona. A little bit sloppy, really against Grand Canyon specifically. There was some base running blunders. There were some errors, and I just thought Tennessee's offense was kind of stagnant against Arizona, but it was day one. Of course, you had the Maui situation where, 2 hours before first pitch, it's announced that he's awaiting eligibility clearance. And I still, at the time of this recording, I still think that this is not going to be something that lingers long into the season. I truly think this will be resolved pretty soon. And Tennessee wants its guy out there. There's no doubt about it. And Tony Vitello, spoke after the Tuesday midweek, this past week against Alabama A&M, and spoke on Maui Ahuna. He was asked post game, and I'll go ahead and read some of those quotes here. He said the question was, any idea when he will be available? Tony Vitello on Tuesday night said, "No, I don't have a specific update. I know we have professionals and different entities working on it, and that makes me feel as good as I can. Hopefully him, Maui, as good as he can as well. People who are way more professional than me, and there's a lot of people out there looking out for the kid's sole interest. Hopefully an update will come soon, but I don't have anything specific right now." End quote. Question, how is he handling this? Quote, like a champ. Like a dang champ. He's been really about getting in the extra work here off the field because he knows he's not burning those calories out there. He's been Jazzy's biggest fan. That's Austin Jazz Love. He's been next to him in warm-ups. He's a fun-loving kid in general. I thought his family has handled it about as well as they could have as well this weekend. End quote. Question, when did you learn about Maui not being able to play? Quote, specifically for me, It was, I would say, 24 hours prior to first pitch in Arizona, end quote. And then finally, did you know that this was a possibility? Quote, yeah, there had been some things that alluded to that a little bit. Still the situation, I mean, he's out there in Arizona. His family has come to watch him play. Still, Tennessee didn't think that he would not be playing against Arizona. So again, hopefully, that's the latest quotes and updates from Tony Vitello at the time of this recording on Maui Ahuna. I don't think that this is going to be a thing that lingers. I truly do think it'll be resolved pretty soon. But, we'll have to see exactly what's going on. Until then, Tennessee's got to find a way. So, back to the Arizona game where I originally was. Tennessee falls 3-1. Thought Chase Dolander was not perfect, but I thought he was fine. He had 7 strikeouts. He really settled in after that 29 pitch first inning. And Arizona's a really, really good club, especially offensively, but Tennessee's bats were just super cold on the night. Actually out-hit Arizona in this game by 1, but we're just cold on the night. You're not going to win games a lot of times in 1-0 fashion. You got to score more than that. Grand Canyon, you guys have heard me preach this several times since Tennessee played out there. Environment was incredible. 6,000 fans, standing room only, berms, all that type of stuff. Yelling, heckling, band is on the field. there's mascots, there's cheerleaders. I mean, it's just it's a unique environment, and it was fun. It was a great environment for the Tennessee team to take part in here in the early portions of the season. Defense, sloppy defense, 3 errors in that game, and then Tennessee ran itself into outs on the base pass twice in that game. One, Zane Denton trying to go to first or third with 2 outs later in that ball game, and he was thrown out by a mile. And then the next one, Austin Jaslov's just trying to make a play. Ball gets away from the first baseman, but it ricochets and comes right back to that first baseman. He throws him out at second base. It's unfortunate. But again, I wrote it. I've said it. When the margin for error is so thin, sloppy baseball will get you beat. Sloppy baseball running into outs on the base pass. Sloppy baseball making errors in the field. That's what Tennessee was on Saturday against Grand Canyon, and it's unfortunate because, again, Chase Burns was magnificent. I thought he was good. I thought Andrew Lindsey was good. It was good to see Seth Halverson on Friday night. Good to see Andrew Lindsey on Saturday night. Good to see Kirby Connell come in and get Tennessee out of jams in both nights. He's a guy that pitched really well this season, not a whole lot, but pitched really well over the weekend that nobody's talking about. And then you go on to Sunday, and Tennessee kind of was able to do what it did. 7-0 that victory over UC San Diego. It was really, really good. Now, Drew Beam was marvelous. He threw about 85 pitches, I think. He was perfect for the first time through the order, perfect through his first 11 batters. He was magnificent. Did a really, really good. Induced 9 ground ball outs. That's solid. 9 ground ball outs for Drew Beam, who always pitches to contact anyway. But it was a really good showing from him. And then the bats started to come alive. Tennessee had a 4-run 7th inning, which was big. They kind of blew this game wide open. And Tennessee was able to come back and salvage something. Of course, Tennessee did what it did in the midweek as well. But I think that there's a lot to learn and grow from this weekend where you face good competition. And now you come back to Lindsey Nelson Stadium for the next month playing non-competitive baseball for the most part on a routine basis at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Guys who have started off the season really hot. I mean, let's start with the conversation with Blake Burke. Hitting over 400. My goodness, man. He, at one point in time, he was 3 of his last 4 with 3 extra base hits earlier this week. 2 home runs. He's had a triple. He had a 3-run blast on Tuesday. He has played really, really well. And it was good to see Jared Dickey come alive as well. On Tuesday's midweek game, he did not record an out. I believe he was a triple away from the cycle as well. He was really, really good. He had a home run, had a double. He's hit, I think he's hit safely at one point in time this week in 3 straight games, which is good to see from Jaron Dickey, who looked like he was pressing just a little bit on that Friday night. Christian Moore as well, I think, started the season off hot, hitting right around 400. Had that home run on that Sunday game at UC San Diego, hit number 2, getting on base. That's what you want in a 2-hole hitter. It's good to see. Cal Starks hitting the ball well. Came on Friday night, pinch hit opportunities, 2 for 2 with 2 singles. Homered Tennessee a 2-run shot on Saturday to get the Vols the lead and on the board. I thought he's looked good and had a hit on Sunday. So, Cal Stark, I think, and that's one of my observations that I took away from my baseball 3-2-1 is Cal Stark's going to play. He'll catch, he'll DH, but that bat is going to be in the order, in my opinion. So, overall, it's just 1 week, but I think Tennessee baseball, you're trying to figure it out. Again, I've said this repeatedly over the last week. I mean, it's a team that's replacing everybody at every position except starting pitching, essentially, right? And it's going to take them a little while to kind of figure it out, especially when you still have a gaping hole in your lineup without Maui Ahuna. And once Ahuna comes back, man, it's going to make it that much deeper. It's going to make it that much deeper because you can peg everybody down a slot and make that middle of the order that much more challenging. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this team looks like with Maui in that lineup card. But overall, it's good to have baseball back. Tennessee's going to continue to work on itself and try to figure some things out during this non-conference schedule before hitting SEC play. All right, I've taken up enough of your time. Let's get to Luc Lipcius. What did he think about Tennessee's season opening weekend out of the MLB Desert Invitational? What's he think about his understudy Blake Burke, the Maui situation, the starting pitching, all that and more? Former Tennessee first baseman Luc Lipcius joins us now right here on the porch. All right, Luke, so over the weekend, Tennessee goes 1-2 in the MLB Desert Invitational. Really good competition, really good environment, especially on Saturday night. Kind of what were your overall thoughts on Tennessee's performance out west in the desert?
Yeah, well, so I think the first thing is to not panic. Going 1-2 there is not what anyone wanted. However, we got a lot of the young guys, really good reps in great environments in front of big crowds, especially that GCU stadium. I was told by a couple people that place is absolutely awesome. The fans there are electric, probably going to be close to an SEC atmosphere. So as far as experience goes, great on the weekend. Now, pitching defense also did a really good job. If your pitching and defense is always there, then you're going to have a good season. Now, the hitting, of course, not there. I thought they looked young. And so what I mean by that is they looked like they had the jitters a little bit. They weren't comfortable, all this stuff that you would expect to see from relatively non-experienced hitters. However, they still have the talent. They'll be able to succeed. And I think that whole Maui situation got him a little frazzled. No one knew what to do with that. But overall, not a horrible weekend or not as bad as it looks on paper.
Yeah, kind of on that Maui situation, and hopefully there'll be some resolution to it here, pretty soon. I think that this is not a long term thing. I think potentially later this week, maybe next week, you could see Maui back out there playing, but we'll have to see, of course. I
Mhm.
know this is something that Tennessee thinks is going to get done pretty soon. But if you go back to regional play last year, you guys had to get ready to go without one of your main guys, and Evan Russell. You had a little bit more notice, I believe, but that's kind of what Tennessee had to do for the opening series. And I know that he's not. I mean, he was going to make his Tennessee debut, so he's not like been in the clubhouse for a long time. But kind of how are you supposed to react when one of your key guys is kind of a late scratch to the lineup?
You know, you never really know what to do, especially when it comes that close to game time. So you don't have time to prepare. What V does such a good job at, though, is preparing you to be adaptable. So that's really the only thing you can do is adapt and know that the next person up has your back, you have their back, that kind of stuff. But still, it's hard to shake that getting mad at someone for making someone not able to play or being like, okay, what are we going to do now? Those are normal thoughts, but you just got to shake them as much as you can. And I think with the inexperience, the youngness, it was a little bit harder for those guys to shake it as opposed to, let's say, a 6-year senior.
Yeah, no doubt for sure. And a lot of these guys in the lineup, I mean, they've been complimentary players in years past, but now they're everyday players. They're kind of the
Mhm.
guys, and like the Burks and the Moores and the Dickies and all that. And I mean, now they are the guys, and so trying to kind of adjust to that a little bit as well. Let's go back to the weekend. You said the game Saturday, the environment might rival an SEC environment, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, there were I was there. There were 6,000 screaming fans, heckling fans the entire time. There was a band. There was cheerleaders. there was there was mascots. All that on the field. I hadn't seen anything like it. It was pretty neat. And Tennessee played well enough to win in that baseball game. Like that type of environment, I think is going to be huge because, as you well know, you play like this little beginning tournament of the season. You go back to Lindsey Nelson Stadium, and you're not going to see that consistent level of competition for the next month until
Mhm.
you leave for SEC play at the middle of March.
That's exactly right. So I think having this experience of playing really good teams, not that anyone else on the schedule isn't really good, it's just going on the road, going to different environments, playing a different kind of baseball, out west, playing in front of all these fans, playing good teams. It's really good to get that under your belt as soon as possible. And now these next few series is before conference starts, you can go out and fine tune, fix the issues that you saw in that first series, and just keep on building confidence with that in the back of your mind. I also think this may sound a little bad, but I think as far as losing the first couple of games is a really good humbling experience for these younger kids that are riding off of last year's high. And so just being humbled early on, I think will make them work even harder and play up to their fuller potential than they would have if, let's say, their road to SEC play was easy.
All right, let's go to Friday night, Tennessee, Arizona. Chase Dolander, he takes the ball and he goes 4 2/3. I think he had 81 pitches. Of course, the pitchers, they were all on pitch counts. You're not going to go 100 pitches and 7 8 innings typically on opening weekend. But Doe, he had 29 pitches in the first inning, but after that, I thought he really kind of settled down. Really, in innings 3 and 4, And then a little bit into the fifth, I thought he settled down a little bit. Still had 7 strikeouts. Wasn't his best on the night, but that Arizona lineup, I feel like, is good enough to be like a regional team. And of course, this is a team 2 years removed from Omaha, much like Tennessee. I thought that was not the best Dolander, but still good enough to win at the bats when it came around.
I completely agree. Anytime a staff puts up 3 or less, your offense should be able to score that many or more. So I totally agree. It was a winnable game. Doe came out, looked a little bit shaky. I think no one was extremely surprised by that. It's his first outing, it's his first inning. But what was great to see is him come back and kind of put it on cruise control, gather himself and really finish strong in his outing. That was great to see. And then as far as that Arizona team, they're extremely well coached. I believe that new coach they have has had plenty of time in the majors. So now he's coaching college. So he's a great coach. He's going to have their hitters really disciplined, all that good stuff. My favorite part of the night was seeing Seth Halverson do what he did.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be such an integral part, and having him come out on a stage like that and performing, huge for his confidence, huge for the Vols' confidence. And so I think all those are pluses on the night.
Yeah, Seth Halverson made his comeback, made his Tennessee debut on Friday night, pitching 3 innings in a piggyback fashion, essentially with Chase Dolander. On Saturday, it was Chase Burns who started out, and then it was Andrew Lindsay who came on and made his comeback in his Tennessee debut and pitched, I want to say, at least 2 1/3. I can't remember, but he pitched a little bit as well. It might have been 3. I thought that was really good. But in terms of Chase Burns, I thought he pitched better than Dolander. 6 strikeouts. He retired off I think 6 or 7 in a row at one point in time. He left the game with the lead in hand, and he threw about 70, 5 pitches or whatever. I thought Chase Burns looked pretty good. Obviously until Sunday, I thought he, looked the sharpest of any Tennessee pitcher. Thought it was a good outing for Chase Burns out of the gate.
Yeah, I think it was too. They're both so steadfast in what they do because the stuff's so good and they always fill up the zone. So, it's hard to say one did better than the other. But I think they both did well. If we can have outings like that consistently, of course, it's his first outing. And the fact that he is not showing many signs of being uncomfortable, of being too jazzed up, frazzled, all that stuff are really good signs, because people tend to come out, nerves are high, not showing your best stuff, a little bit like what Dolly did. And that just shows the poise that A has instilled in these guys. But I thought Burns did absolutely fantastic. Lindsay, his stuff is absolutely gross. But yeah, again, they put up 4. I think one of those I don't know what the earned run total was, but it seemed like 1 or 2 were like really earned,
Yeah, two were earned, 4 runs total, 2 were earned.
And of those 2, you could even argue that only 1 was really earned because it seemed like our outfield was playing way too far back, some bad jumps maybe, and then a missed pick here and there. So they're not errors on the board, but they are kind of defensive mental mistakes that can be cleaned up. And, it's also a different place. You're making sure balls aren't hit over your head, that kind of stuff. But again, you score or your staff gives up 4, offense should be able to help it out. So I think that those are a couple of things that show that while we did lose, we didn't lose in a fashion to be scared of anything. And of course, the staff did great. Chase Burns did great.
So I want to stay talking pitching. You go to Sunday, and I'm not going to sit here and say that UC San Diego's lineup is anything comparable to that of Arizona or Grand Canyon, because I just don't think it is. However, Drew Beam was marvelous. He goes 6 innings strong, 85 pitches or something like that. He was perfect through his first 11 batters through the order. He was really, really good. And, spoke with him post-game. He's like, hey, this is my opening day, and we needed a win, so we went and got it. And, I was really impressed with him. But also, I'd love for you to comment on a guy that you know very well, and Zach Joyce, coming back, making his comeback, and his Tennessee debut as well. It was a big weekend for debuts. He came on with 2 on in scoring position, only 1 out, back-to-back strikeouts. Really, the only adversity-filled time in the game for Tennessee, or one of the few, was in that moment. He comes in, gets the job done. That was great to see Zach Joyce come on and in that situation and leave unscathed.
Yeah, well, so I'll start with Drew Beam. He is I think he's the most calm and collected pitcher we have. Chase and Dolly get all this praise for their stuff, which they should, and then Drew's just kind of hiding in the shadows. But going back to last year, it seems like Drew's the one that started strong, stayed strong, finished strong. You know, he was the most dependable pitcher on our staff last year, and looks like maybe to even be this year. You know, it seems like nothing phases him. Of course, like you said, it's not as good of a lineup. However, I think his stuff could have competed with either one of the previous two teams. So that's just Drew being Drew. He's a great guy, fantastic pitcher. He's going to have so much success. But Zach Joyce coming out, for one, the coaching staff having the confidence in him to make his debut in that situation just tells you what you need to know about this coaching staff and what they and how they believe in him. And for him to go out and sit the next two batters down, runners in scoring position, 1 out, is absolutely fantastic. Everyone knew he had the stuff. We were just seeing if the mind was there, and it turns out it is. So I'm so excited to see what he has. I know he's got so much pride for Tennessee, and last year is what brought him back to baseball. So I know he's so excited. I know Ben's excited for him, all that stuff.
Yeah, it was great to see his family was there. Ben was there. It was a really good moment for him post game. So super thrilled for him and that family. All right, we're about 11 minutes into our chat, and I wanted to ask you about your replacement. Man, he's smacking the cover off the baseball right now. That's Blake Burke. At one point in time earlier this week, he was 3 for his last 4 with 3 extra base hits. He's got 2 home runs. He had a triple Sunday home run. He had a 3-run home run there in the midweek this week. He's on fire right now. What can you say about your understudy in Blake Burke?
Yeah, so I think he's basically playing as expected. You know, I don't know if on fire is even the right word, because he's going to be on fire the whole season. His bat just plays. And so seeing the whole offense struggle a little bit that first game, and then him kind of carrying and just being that steadfast hitter that you can count on, that presence in the lineup, that's what you're going to see all season. He's going to hit a lot of home runs. He's going to hit a lot of extra base hits. He's going to get on. He's going to be that presence in the lineup that other teams are marking. And so he's just going to do his thing. I've never really seen him get have the moment be too big, you know, even dating back to last year, hitting in the SEC tournament, hitting in these big games. He doesn't get fazed by it. And so he also played a pretty good first base, minus a few defensive mistakes at pick. But, you know, hitting wise, he's going to be there. He's doing what he does. And so it's awesome to see him smacking balls out of the yard this early.
As a first baseman, I've watched a lot of baseball the last couple of days, so it might be running together. But I believe it was the Jazz Love play at Grand Canyon. The throw was a little high. It was off the mitt of Burke. Throwing error goes to Jazz Love, I believe. Should that have been a play that Burke made? And if so, should the error have gone to the first baseman?
So those are always tough to say, you know. Who does the error go to? I think
it was a hurried play. It was a heck of an effort by Jazz Love.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the throw's a little high, but I mean, if he would have made that play, that would have been like an all-star type play. So yeah.
So that, I think you blame that on the GCU people. I know the hitter probably wanted a hit out of that, you know.
Yeah.
But as far as Coach A would always say, if it hits your glove, you should catch it. I don't so far believe that, because, you know, if you're stretched out to your max, then sometimes it will just hit the glove and go off. However, they've done enough work to where it should have been a better throw, and Burke's done enough work to he probably should have caught it, you know. So it's kind of on both of them.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it's baseball sometimes, right? I mean, you're not going to make every single play, but I was kind of curious because I could see that going either way. They gave the error to Jazz Love, I'm pretty sure. If they would have gave the error to Burke, I'd been like, okay, I see that as well. So
Exactly.
All right, let's look at this outfield, man. It's very much musical chairs right now, which we kind of knew it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Dickey, who I thought would play a whole lot of center field, who I was told will play a whole lot of center field, has logged 1 game at center field. That doesn't mean he's not going to see it again. I'm sure he will, but he's primarily been in right field the last couple of games. Kyle Booker looks like he's been pretty much a mainstay in left so far, and then it's been a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Christian Scott's been in there at center field and the right field. Griffin Merritt finally made his debut in the field after hitting on Sunday, and he was at the corner outfield. What we haven't seen at the time of this recording, again, we're recording this before Wednesday's midweek, we haven't seen a freshman starter in the outfield, which is very surprising. How long do you think it'll kind of take for Tennessee to kind of figure it out back there in terms of, maybe just like who is where on a routine basis? Or do you think we might expect to see a lot of that mixing around all season long?
Just going off of experience, I would expect to see a pretty good amount of mixing in. What V likes to do is play people based on the pitcher they're facing, right? So if you're
Yep.
facing a lefty, you're going to want a more righty heavy outfield. Let's say maybe Christian Scott's not playing that day, something like that. Righties pitching, you can mix in more of the lefties, that kind of deal. But as far as settling in, I wouldn't expect to see much settling until, let's say, SEC play. And that's when you'll get pretty consistent Friday and Saturday starters, maybe mix it up Sunday. Or again, you start seeing this pattern where if a lefty's pitching, it's like this. If a righty's pitching, it's like that. But I would not expect to see any settling in basically anywhere until about SEC play. And that's when things really start to fire forward. You can expect a lot as opposed to, oh, he's here today? I didn't expect that,
And of course, too, you can always have those late defensive replacements that Tony likes to do, like a
Exactly.
Christian Scott, who's got a glove as big as the outfield to begin with, coming in and playing an awful lot. And so, that I think might be, and maybe Charlie Taylor coming in if he's not behind the plate that game. Maybe he comes in the seventh inning, catches the last three innings, stuff like that. So I want to ask you about, what happened on Tuesday night. Have you ever seen a walk-off 2-run home run for a run rule victory in baseball?
Yeah, not in college baseball. I think
Yeah.
in like some high school games, you see that. But this new run rule is going to be something that the Vols hopefully will get used to. I know last year, I don't think we would have set as many offensive records if that run rule was there. So, thankful for that. But it's really good for pace of play, especially these Tuesday, Wednesday midweeks. It's huge to save pitching. Going into the weekend, you kind of game plan as much as you can. You never know what's going to happen in a baseball game. So for that reason, I think it's amazing. Now, I'll just go ahead and talk about Ryan Miller, who hit the walk-off. Him coming in, first at bat, I believe, as a Vol ever.
Yep.
And hits a home run to walk off the game. That's great for him. That guy grinds as hard as anyone else. He's a really good hitter, and he always does well during inter squads, all that stuff. Awesome to see him do that. But as far as a walk-off in the eighth inning, I think that's a pretty neat thing. And I think it's good for the game, especially at those points. If someone's getting beat by 15, 20, it's okay to call it, I think. I know V would say differently. He wants to play it to the end every single time. But as far as pitching is concerned, as far as the guys staying rested is concerned, especially as we go later into the season, maybe not so much right now, I think it's great for the game.
Yeah. On the flip side, you might want to get in some more pitching. So
That is true.
you want to keep on going. Like that's what the midweeks are for. So it's kind of you kind of where you at that week type situation. All right, man. So coming up this weekend, you got Dayton. Again, I'm not going to act like Tennessee's going to run the table. Very much could, obviously could run the table in non-conference play. But man, that's a lot of games. But the competitiveness in this non-conference play over the next month is just not going to be where it was this last weekend. What does Tennessee need to continue to do in terms of? I kind of view all this as like working on themselves before conference play starts, and it starts this week with midweek, but also this weekend with Dayton. Kind of, what's as a veteran, kind of what's your approach to this portion of the season before SEC play?
Yeah, well, I think you said it great. It's working on yourself, fine tuning everything you can. Right now, while the mistakes are costly, they're not as costly, let's say, as SEC. We're not going to sugarcoat it. The SEC is more important than these non-conference games, but that doesn't mean that you need to take it less serious, if that makes sense. So every Friday night guy is a Friday night guy for a reason. He's going to come out. He's going to have some great stuff, some great confidence. And so that experience on Friday and Saturday and Sunday is crucial for anyone. Now, playing at home for the first time is going to be great for a lot of these guys that don't have that Lindsey Nelson experience, playing as the home team. Fantastic for them. Again, keep getting the jitters out, keep fine-tuning everything, making sure everything is working correctly. But as far as it's just baseball, so everyone's filling into their roles. They're trying to do their best. It's a home game, so everyone's going to be super excited, all that stuff. But it's fine-tuning right now and making sure that you're the best you can be entering that SEC play.
Luke, man, it's been fun. We're 2 weeks in. Love talking a little Tennessee baseball with you. Appreciate you taking the time, and I know you'll be watching this weekend. And let's do it again next week, talking about, let's see, Tennessee could potentially be what? I mean, math was never my greatest subject. What, like 6-2 at this point in time next week? So
3-6-2. Yep.
Yeah. Let's see if that happens. All right.
Let's hope so. Thanks for having me. Can't wait till next week.
All right, brother. Appreciate it, man. That's Tennessee former first baseman Luc Lipcius, and agreeing to join us here on the porch every single week. All right, that is going to do it for this edition of the Porch, a Volquest baseball podcast. Tennessee enters the weekend against Dayton, the first home opening series of the year, first home series of the year at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. So looking forward to that. Friday night, it is going to be a 4 o'clock Eastern time first pitch, just like the midweeks this week. Saturday, it's going to be 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Sunday, it's going to be 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That is when first pitches are going to be thrown. So really, really looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll continue to have some clarity on some situational battles, some outfields, the shortstop position, all that and more. And as Tennessee continues to kind of come into its own. But I think Tennessee's going to be getting back on track. And now that it is at home, of course, midweeks are already over with. And looking forward to piling up some W's in that column there. All right, I'm Eric Cain here at Volquest.com. Appreciate you for following along the coverage over at Volquest.com, the General's Quarters. We got the game threads, how it happened, the 4 quick takes, all the videos on our YouTube channel, all that and more. You can always follow us at Volquest.com for Tennessee baseball coverage with me, Eric Cain. Appreciate you guys. We'll do it again next week. This is The Porch, a Volquest baseball podcast with Luc Lipcius.